Roll call, please, Ms. Leddy.
Mayor Baker,
Here.
Member Bolter,
Here.
Member Neary,
Here.
Member Neal, here, Member Kelly, here, Member Lovins, here, Member Baszler, here, City Administrator Foster,
Here.
City Attorney Allen, here.
Full house, and I do appreciate that. Moving right along to the prayer and pledge. Tonight, we'd like to remember 80 years ago today, we were attacked, the United States was attacked by the Japanese Army at Pearl Harbor. So we stand up and have our moment of silence. Please keep it in your thoughts. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. For the mayor's report, I want to thank everybody who had a very successful light up Dayton this year. We had over 300 kids that we were able to serve, give them a nice kickoff to Christmas. We had a lot of volunteers that gave time to come out and give their hours, so we appreciate them, and it was a great year. So, thank you guys.
Excuse me a moment. I don't know if these are hooked up to the right frequency, but I'm like anything live on these.
What's that?
These are not working.
He's right.
Why not?
There-
Are you not getting feedback?
There's getting so much feedback that, I mean,
Just turn them off if you're getting feedback.
You wanna try it again, and you think it's?
Sure.
Working now.
So far, so good. We may have to turn it off if it gets too much feedback. but
Hello.
Working now, right?
Thank you, Scott. So that was my mayor's report. On the agenda, we have a motion to accept the minutes from the November 16th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So move.
Mr. Neary made the motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Volker made the motion, I'll make the second, clerk.
Mr. Volker made the motion. Neary made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next up on the agenda, we have a guest this evening. Miss Shelley Funkemeyer. She is running for Kentucky State Senate. And Miss Funkemeyer, you're more than welcome to head to the podium and introduce yourself.
You can take it over, Steve.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. I appreciate the invitation. Thank you, Administrator Fawcett. It was good to see you. My name is Shelley Funkemeyer, and I live in Alexandria. So I'm your neighbor to the south, though I prefer your view in this gorgeous drive in this afternoon. So as candidate for Senate, I was drawn to it. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. My husband and I have only our 11-year-old at home, but our 5 older kids are producing grandchildren. So I love that job too, as a Nana. And I've got the 5th grandbaby on the way in February. One of the inspirations as well is I'm the 6th of 12 kids. I grew up in the Licking River Valley in Damasco. So the point of working and earning, there's just a lot of dignity in work. And when I graduated from UK, I'm actually the 6th of 12, big compliments to my mom and dad. And we grew up on a farm, so you might know we were all inspired to go away to college and miss the hay baling for the summer. But the earning and education, learning is such a key to that. So I have had a chance to meet with Jay Brewer here and just impressed with the progress that I'm seeing in Dayton, and that's a big commitment and a passion of mine. On that front, I am here because I really want to see and meet, and I'll be here till the end of your meeting and look forward to, I'm hiding behind the podium back here, but I am paying attention to you, Ben, as you're running the meeting. But I thank you for allowing me to come and introduce myself today. Not run for office before, so I'm open to any guidance and advice after the meeting, so I will be hanging out. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Do we have any comments or concerns tonight about the legislation appearing on tonight's agenda? If so, the podium is yours. I'm gonna go ahead and close that podium in 3, 2, and 1. Moving along to the ordinances and resolutions, the second reading of 2021 number 19, amending chapter 150 of the Dayton Code of Ordinances to re-adopt 2021 International Property Maintenance Code and adopt the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code. Ms. Ledger, please.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, ordinance number 2021, number 19. An ordinance amending chapter 150 of the Dayton Code of Ordinances to re-adopt the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code and adopt the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code and amend other provisions to conform with the City Code of Ordinances. And this is the second reading.
Thank you, Ms. Ledger. We have a second reading. So I have a motion to adopt 2021 number 19.
I'll make a motion to adopt 2021 number 19.
Member Kelly has made a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Member Neary seconded. Roll call, please, Ms. Ledger.
We let that discussion first?
Sure.
I guess I would like to ask for someone in the city to kind of tell the people in the community what they're changing for this, and if said party were to say no on this, do we stick with the old one? But first, just kind of explain what changes are being made.
So we're not changing anything, we're just adopting the newest version of the International Property Maintenance Code. They update it every 2 years. This is the code that our code enforcement director uses when she goes out and cites properties for maintenance issues. It's an international code, it's adopted by nearly all the cities and counties in the country, and that's all they do is just codes. And so that is something we've been having on our books probably for 20 years. The International Energy Conservation Code is a new code, and it just basically talks about the code requirements when you're doing energy conservation projects, and we are required by the state to adopt that code. Well, that's new. That's a new code that hasn't been adopted in the past, but we are adopting it now. So the International Property Code is something we're very familiar with. This Energy Conservation Code is not something we're very familiar with, but it only really apply if people are putting energy conservation products into the building, which more and more people are doing. Is that good enough explanation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are these two codes listed on the website? Can people read them?
They're in a book form, and we have the copies at the office. They're voluminous, and so they don't give you electronic copies because they want you to buy the book every 2 years. So we do have those in the office. They can come read it. Or they can purchase it themselves from the company, but they won't give us electronic copies.
Can you take pictures and post it, or is that
I mean, we're talking about hundreds of pages. I think that's illegal too. I think it would have
illegal?
trademark and copyright issues.
But it would be part of an open record should any citizen want to see it.
Yeah, oh yeah, we have, they're on file.
Thank you, Mr. Fawcett. Member Baker, are you satisfied?
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any comments regarding 2021 number 19? Roll call, please, Ms. Ledger.
Member Neiman?
Aye.
Member Kelly?
Aye.
Member Lovins? Aye. Member Baszler?
Aye.
Member Volter?
Aye.
Member Neary?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next on the docket is a first reading, and this is number 2021, number 21, amending section 111.16 to change the registration requirements for employees who work in establishments that serve alcohol. Ms. Ledger, please.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, ordinance number 2021, number 21, An ordinance amending section 111.16 of the City of Dayton Code of Ordinances to change the registration requirements for employees who work in establishments that serve alcohol. First reading.
Is there any way to explain that a little bit more? Like, what do you?
Yeah, so, and the chief, you might want to talk about this, but under our current regulations, there's a process. You're supposed to get fingerprinted and all this stuff, and that's not what they're doing anymore now. It's all done electronically, am I right, chief?
Yes.
Through the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control.
Yeah.
So all this process used to be done with paper, now being done electronically.
It's all
So we needed to update our ordinance to reflect the new way
that, yeah.
of registering these folks.
Yes.
In the past, were all the bartenders registered?
Yes, and fingerprint,
They had to be.
yes.
Okay.
And they still have to be registered, but just not fingerprint anymore.
So still be registered, but not fingerprinted. Any other questions regarding, 2021, number 21? All right, again, that was the first reading, so let's move along. Next on the docket is order resolution number 2021, number 41, Romeo, changing the name of the Commercial Community Advance Program to the Dayton Business Association Assistance Program and amending the grant award policies for this program.
Can I address this for a second, Mayor?
You may.
So, we were trying to put this together, wanted to change the name from the CCAP to something that's a little bit easier to remember, and it's the DBA now, the Dayton Business Assistance Program. We also wanted to make some changes that gave us some callback in case people did not follow the rules, follow the terms of the agreement we made. And Jared went through, we made a number of other changes, but we've decided from tonight, we'd like to pull this from the agenda because we had the Dayton Main Street Board meeting tonight. We gave this to them. We wanted to get their input about this, and they each have a copy of it. It was at one members at the meeting tonight, so we just want to make sure they were comfortable with the changes we were being made. Councilmember Neary came in and had some questions about some things as well. So we also thought we'd give you all some more time to review this and address it at our next meeting. I guess that would be in January. So the idea was to get this done and get it on our website. We're planning to go on the website in January, but I think we need to slow down a little bit and let you guys look at this and see if you have any questions about it.
So what you're suggesting,
Pull this from the, no, not voting on this tonight.
yes, sir. If you have any questions regarding this ordinance?
Do we have to officially table this since it was on the agenda?
Wouldn't hurt, I don't think.
Procedural.
Make a motion to table it.
Do you have a second? Second by member Levens. Order resolution 2021 number 41, revenue has been tabled till next council meeting. Which brings us to 2021 number 42, Romeo. Enter into agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for funding to design phase 3 of the River Commons project along the river's edge. Ms. Ledger.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, order resolution number 2021, number 42R. An order resolution authorizing the city to enter into an agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for funding to design phase 3 of the Riverfront Common projects along the river's edge.
And so this is, Mike Akers' group is working with us on the phase 3 of this plan. This is going to take the final phase of Riverfront Commons and make it a reality. So right now, we're about ready to go out with bid application for construction of the second section, which you know where it ends down. The next section will take it to the next SD1 outfall. And then from there, this will go behind this phase. Phase 3 will go behind the Tapestry, what was Tapestry and now Manhattan on the River. Behind that building, and then come back on to Manhattan Boulevard and completing a 1.5-mile River's Edge trail, which will match up with our 1.5-mile trail on top of the levee as well. So this is just the design phase. That later on there will be construction funding as well from this grant.
Okay, Mr. Fawcett.
Mr. Fawcett,
Yes.
on this design phase, not construction phase, but design phase, is that also an 80-20 between us and South Bank?
All of it's not South Bank, it's through the state, it's a OKI grant, but, South Bank helped us procure this, but, it's everything's 80-20.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding this ordinance?
So, you're on, we go on to the next one. There are two ordinances coming up. They're A and B, involve the same thing, but, would read them together, so they would hear them together, and then they, council needs to vote on one of the two. And I can explain it when they're done being read.
So we still need to vote on 2021-42.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't vote yet. My fault.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm already ahead of the game.
That's all right. That's all right. We like you. You're ahead of the game. So,
Like, real quick, does Dayton, like, what's the burden of cost that falls on the city with any of this? Or is it-
20%,
What's that?
20%?
What's the total?
20% of what?
Of 70, it's in the amount there, $75,630.
$15,000.
pretty good deal. Any other questions to staff or myself regarding?
This is the last portion of the trail that's going to be within our community, right?
Yeah, the River's Edge, last portion of the River's Edge Trail, yes.
And I thought at one point, isn't it supposed to extend then beyond us into Fort Thomas, or has that been?
Well, we are actually working, I was gonna talk about that in
Okay.
a minute, but I'll talk about it now. We're working with South Bank Partners on a U.S. Economic Development Grant that we're trying to get the trail to go from the end of, Floodwall, another mile into Fort Thomas, and ironically, Fort Thomas, independently of us, is talking about doing the same, using the same, funding to do the trail from our city all the way through theirs along Old Route 8, and then we connect into ultimately southern Campbell County. So we only have a mile, and the road is in fairly decent shape on our portion of the trail, but they have about 3 to 4 miles in Fort Thomas, and it's not nearly as good a shape. As you know, the state shut down that road. So, but what's the bad thing is that the road shut down. The good thing, the silver lining is we can now maybe use it for a hiking, biking trail, and maybe also, some vehicular traffic, but not the kind of highway that it was for many, many years. But again, that's a grant. It's a very competitive thing. It's nationally people are competing for it. So I think we've got a number of cities together working on it, so that always helps. But we'll see what happens. And we got some friends in Frankfurt who we'll probably lean on a little bit. So we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
One more thing, sir. This design phase, is that already awarded to one particular entity? I know KZF did a lot of work down there already.
So we're switching. We're going with Mike Ager's firm. They have a relationship with them, and they are going to be doing the design phase. They've now signed on as our local. There's a term for it. I can't remember the name, but the local engineering firm they're authorized by the state to do this work. So KCF just did some of the design work on this one. Yeah, that's right. They did phase 1 and phase 2, but we decided to go with Mike Ager's firm on this one.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions to staff regarding this order resolution?
Motion to accept 2021-42R.
I think we already,
Yeah, that's already been done, Mr. Mayor.
yeah, we already did that.
So, do we have a vote, please, on the budget?
I don't think there was a motion.
There wasn't a motion?
Take it out.
All right, so Mr. Gary made the motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Ledger, please.
Member Kelly?
Aye.
Member Levens?
Aye.
Member Baszler?
Aye.
Member Volter?
Aye.
Member Neary?
Aye.
Member Neely?
You guys have it. Next on the agenda is order resolution 2021-43 Romeo Alpha, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with a Delta Construction in the amount of $568,000, $778.43 for sidewalk construction projects on 6th Avenue, Dayton Pike, Belmont Road, payable by the Safe Route to School and tax grant.
And read the second one too, they go together.
All right. Mr. Policy asked me to read the second one, which is 2021 number 43 Romeo Bravo, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Delta Construction in the amount of $466,275.35 for sidewalk construction projects on 6th Avenue and Dayton Pike, payable by Safe Route to Schools and tax grants.
So the difference is the first one adds Belmont Road to this sidewalk project, and the second one does not. The reason I have that is, this is, as you may remember, was bid out for specs, was bid out for construction bids last spring, maybe in May. We got bids back, and we went with, I think it was TMS Construction Fort Thomas. They were the low bidder. We were waiting for the state to approve it, Took them 60 days. About at that time, the prices had gone up, and the bidder said, okay, after 60 days, they're allowed to withdraw their bid, which they did. And so we are stuck now, okay, construction season's over. So the good news is, though, we rebid it. TMS and Jefferson Construction, the same two that bid before, bid as well. But a new player came into the game, Delta, and they bid $50,000 less than what the bid was last time. So they're basically receiving a $50,000 savings by bidding it a second time. So it was a pain that we had to wait longer to do it, but it benefits us. So as a result of that $50,000 savings, we can now do Belmont Road sidewalks as well. Last time we cut them out because we didn't have the money. It's going to cost us a little bit more, but we can use some of our ARPA funds, the American Rescue Funds, to pay for the storm sewer charges. So basically, it's going to cost us about $50,000 more, but about 25 of that coming from the ARPA funds. So my recommendation is that since we have this additional funding now because of this lower bid, that we go ahead and add Belmont to this project. So I would go, that's A.
So basically, it's $102,000 difference total
Yes.
between the two, which would be the total cost to add in the Belmont section, which runs from Urban Terrace up to Dayton Avenue.
Pretty much, yeah. Yes.
Which was the initial.
And the other good thing about adding Belmont is we have major stormwater issues there. And this also adds curbs and a storm basin. So I think that will help some of the issues. So we're in the process of designing some other improvements on Urbans that will go hand in hand with that. So maybe, that we get them done at the same time this year, hopefully. So yeah, I think that's another advantage of doing Belmont as well.
And that would be the difference in the city's cost, correct?
Yes. I spelled it out in the report to you. I'll read it to you just so I make sure it's clear.
So we're saving 50 because the bid's lower.
Yes.
So this is gonna cost us about 52. If we factor in the ARPA funds, then it's gonna
Right.
cost us around 27,000.
So here's what I said in my report. Because the state has allocated $519,334 for this report, which includes our 20% match of $83,866, we would need to come up with an additional $49,444, $50,000 to cover the additional costs. However, because this project involves about $25,000 for curbs and stormwater basins, one half of these funds can be used from ARPA. So that's exactly what I think you said, Joe.
I just wanted to clarify that because of the Belmont section and the flooding issues that we've been having up there.
Right.
That we're kind of
try and answer them for you. If not,
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hall regarding the fire department?
Just like to thank Mr. Hall for coming down tonight.
absolutely.
It's good to see you.
I know it's in here, but just, we are doing our needy families, this year. We're, actually gonna go out Christmas Eve. We met with the school last week. I think he didn't put this in here, but, on Christmas Eve, you probably will see us roaming around with Santa in the truck delivering, gifts, Christmas dinner to the families that we have. And this year, something we've done, first year we've done it, is we're providing all the kids with winter jackets and socks this year. That's one of the, so that's above and beyond presents and Christmas dinner. That's something we've been able to do through our fundraising efforts, and our ladies auxiliary is able to come up with, funds to actually provide every kid with a winter coat and, socks for just winter, so. You see us out Christmas Eve, wave.
Thank you.
Thanks for your participation in Light Up Dayton.
What's that, sir?
Thanks for your participation in Light Up Dayton. You guys always deliver Santa in such a great fashion. You guys are awesome.
Not a problem, it's good weather.
Yeah, we got lucky, didn't we?
And I think that's truly the kids' favorite is that fire truck.
When it comes in on a fire truck,
Fire truck.
it's pretty cool.
Same thing with our school event. Fire truck trumps everything we do.
Thanks, guys. Mr. Hatfield, Chief Hatfield, with the police department report, please. Will everybody has a copy of the police department report?
You don't have a copy of my report, any questions on that?
Any questions?
The only thing else I had to add is, this weekend at Kroger, they had a holiday drive with Fort Thomas and Newport and, Community Action, Center. Trying to think, Army Reserves, stuff like that. They said it, was a great turnout, probably the best they've had in a couple of years. They don't have a total amount as far as money and total donations yet, so it's too soon, but, I just want to thank Officer Lynn Kugel for, going up on his own personal time and kind of organizing it with Newport and Fort Thomas to kind of get it all together. They kind of wanted to do something separate, but they thought they'd get better results by doing it together. So it's just a matter of just reaching out, and they had a great turnout, and they had great weather too, so I just wanted to thank Officer Lynn Kugel for helping out with that.
Thanks, Officer Lincoln. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns with Mr. Hatfield?
Is your Facebook page still down?
Yes, yeah, we're having problems with, I don't know, I guess I get with Jared on that, just messages, when we get messages received from the community, we can't respond back for some reason. We've been having problems with it for a while, so it might be something we might have to shut down and open up a brand new page, so.
Thanks for getting
I'll call you if I want to know.
thanks for getting the speed sign back up. I hit my high score the other day, 25. But I think that's a big, people just don't look at their speedometer.
Yeah,
And I think those can work very well to make speed awareness.
it really does, especially behind the flood wall. I was gonna stick it back there, but just with all the construction going on right now, it's just hard to go at a fast pace. Cause it's just all the cars on the road and stuff like that, so I'm gonna try to keep it on the avenue, and I think working with Rick to get a pole put up on Dayton Pike, try to get it up there at Dayton Pike as far as another area.
Better get a triple
Yeah,
D.
put it up there, so.
Are those things expensive, or what's the?
Yes, the unit that we got, we used, forfeiture money for it, and it was $3,000.
With solar, or does it not have solar?
No, solar is another 1,000.
Gotcha.
So that's why we went with the battery. I've been pretty much running it every other day running a new
Yeah,
battery.
we need to
up
come
to-
up with funding for it to be
Yeah.
solar. I mean, if it's only 1,000.
Yeah, just at the time, we didn't have that extra 1,000, so we're gonna do the battery, but we can get A&A Safety, they help us out, so, it might be something we can just add that to it. If you add two of the batteries, it lasts, and it all depends on traffic too, especially on the avenue, it probably only lasts maybe 2-3 days. But if you have both batteries in, it can last up to a week. Behind the flood wall, it can go 10 days,
I know rechargeable battery.
rechargeable, yeah.
No, I think they're a great tool. It's something that we.
Yeah, it was just something I wanted. It was on my, I talked to Mayor Baker about it. It's something we'd like to have, as a tool, and as far as speeding, traffic enforcement and things like that, just because we can't see everything all the time, so it records data when we're not, there, and it gives, nice average, speed averages, and how many cars go by, certain dates and time, peak times, and all that stuff, so it's a really good tool. So we used the money that we had to get it, so we do need to probably use that upgrade a little bit. So,
What are some of the averages on the avenue?
you'd be surprised, it's not really that high. 35
It's because
sometimes.
Joe is lower than average now.
No, but it would be something I think the city should invest as permanent, because it is one of those things, the same thing when you're on the highway, and I have a lead foot, I'm doing 80, as soon as I see it, I drop it.
Yeah.
Like, something needs to be
There are
permanent
permanent
there.
structures as far as that goes, as far as speed goes, speed trailers, or the speed poles, you can have it, sitting up there permanently. Just something about just getting with ADA safety. Yeah. That's important.
But that would be a good spot,
Yeah.
something permanent to slow them down right there.
Yeah, we only had, I think what it came with was just 4 brackets and 4 poles.
Correct.
So we got 3, we got one of them in the 300 block, which we were having, safety issues with 6th, 100 block of 6th, we were having safety issues behind the flood wall to try to get traffic slowed down, and then 85 was usually so that's something else to look into.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions for Chief Hatfield? Thank you for your time, sir. Merry Christmas. Last on the docket, Mr. Lucas, Public Works, our favorite employee during winter time. He's done great stuff. You talk about the Christmas lights, and we have upcoming snow. What you got, Rick?
Christmas lights, everybody got a copy of my report, I hope, and, the Christmas lights are done, that was about 3 weeks in and out. Jared helped us out, he ran a couple errands for us, and, they're up, and,
They look great.
I got
City's
my,
favorite,
place.
it's the city's favorite time.
We got our motors and everything cleaned up and put away and put on battery chargers for the winter. We got 3 trucks up and running with snow equipment on it, spreaders and plows, everything fired up real good today, so we're ready for the snow. And that's about it, we're busy, we still got plenty of work to keep us busy. We'll start hitting leaves more often now that we're get tied up. We got some signage to put in, still a couple more signs to put on Dayton Pike. Got a couple do not enter signs to put up. Yeah, so we got plenty of work to do. So if anybody's got any questions, moving along.
You're doing a good job, man. You have a few new team members there. Tonight we're expecting a massive half-inch of snow, possibly?
Yeah, but, they have a hard time telling when the sun's coming out. But we're prepared for it tonight. We're prepared, we got salt, and I went up and salted a little area on Nathan Berry. And the lady came up today at lunchtime and asked me if I'd throw a little salt, because the water's coming out against the railroad tracks, and it seeps up through the road.
Yeah.
And it's always like that, I mean, there may be times we go up there 4 times in a week, just those salt just in that area. But other than that, I have nothing else, if there's any questions.
We have enough salt for the winter, like there's no salt
Well,
shortage
I
anywhere?
still gotta get my salt bin cleaned out, and I probably got 75 tons in stock right now. And I've already contacted our salt supplier, and I'm on the list, and usually if I make a phone call, say tomorrow, I can have it within a day or sometimes 2 days.
Pretty good.
But other than that, we're staying busy.
Any questions, Mr. Lucas? What's that?
I wanna commend Public Works, watching them these past couple weeks climbing in them trees. And the soft ground down there, and like you said, it looks great, but that was a lot of man hours and tough work. And also
Prepared for it too, getting things checked out before we put them up.
Right, and, I had I was down in Bellevue's first Friday the other night, two different people, merchants complimented us on the snowflakes. They wish that they had decorations that night.
Oh, great.
They do. And I'd also like to thank you guys for Sunday, because watching what all of your team did on Sunday on overtime, I mean, everybody split after the light up date, and you guys were there putting the tents away and everything else, and much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. But, other than that,
Any questions or comments from Mr. Lucas? All right, thank you, sir. That's all we have for the department head report. Moving right along to the city administrator's report. Mr. Jay Fawcett, what you got?
Well, I want to talk about some more infrastructure projects. We talked about a few already, the Dayton Pike, from 7th to Chateau, and Belmont Road. Those will be sidewalks. We hope to have those underway this spring. And then that also, that grant, we didn't really talk about, that also includes the bump outs on 6th Avenue. So both of those are part of that grant, which has been 10 years in the making. So we're hopeful that that's ready to go. We also got 3 bids on the O'Fallon, 5th Avenue, Manhattan Harbor intersection. I shared this with you guys in report. We got bids from Prus Construction, $54,710. Indy Construction, $38,330. And TMS Construction, $29,950. So TMS is clearly the low bid. They're $9,000 cheaper than Hindi and $25,000 cheaper than Prus. Prus is a very large company. It's a small project, and they probably just bid on these small projects, and they can really make some money from it. But the TMS is a small operation out of Fort Thomas. They do a very good job. They did all the sidewalks, and Fort Thomas did along Dayton Pike this past summer. So my suggestion is if the city council is inclined to move forward with this project, to go and accept TMS Construction. The only problem is they are a small operation, so they shut down in the winter, and their guys go on unemployment, and they resume in the spring. So that's going to delay construction. The larger companies might be able to do it in the winter, but the problem with that is that they're above $30,000. So that's the threshold under Kentucky law. If you're over $30,000, we have to publicly bid it through an advertisement in the newspaper, and that's going to take about a month to do. In 7 to 21 days, you got to wait, and so by the time we're done with all that, it's probably, and they mobilize, it's probably close to spring anyway. So my thought is, if you're inclined to move forward with this project, to go with TMS, do it in the spring, we don't have to publicly advertise, we've satisfied the procurement level threshold of $30,000. So I sent that in my report to you guys. I never really did hear anything back from you all, so I was just kind of looking for direction on how you want to go with that.
Is that cost just related to just adding that bend in the sidewalk?
No, so this is everything. This is adding the curb, adding the sidewalks, doing the crosswalk, doing the ADA accessible, putting up the signs, and doing the thermo seal stop lines and crosswalks. That's very expensive. I have the breakdown. I can get the breakdown to you, but it's everything's included, not just concrete. And then you have.
Was there going to be a blinking? Did they decide?
We do have a blinking stop sign we can put there. I think we will provide that. I don't think that's in the bid, but all other signage they'll be required to put up, as well as the thermo seal striping. So it's everything in that package. That's why it's $49,000 is everything, not just concrete sidewalk.
They did do a great job on the sidewalks.
Up there in Fort Thomas, yeah, I was impressed. I watched it every morning going to work.
And they moved quickly when they started, too.
Yeah. He got the bid last time for the sidewalks in Dayton, so he didn't get that one, but he's a little bit on this one, so he's not quite as big a project as our phase of.
Will he fix the sign at Lincoln and Dayton?
What sign?
Well, when they redid the sidewalks in Fort Thomas, and of course that crossed Lincoln Road, and they put the street sign up there at the corner this way. So I've had people tell me, where's Lincoln Road? Well, you can't, it's just, Rick knows about it.
Yeah, they put it on backwards. They got Lincoln Road, calling Dayton Pike, Lincoln Road, Lincoln Road.
I didn't even notice that. I drive by it every day.
Well, what is the total bid from TMS?
TMS is $29,950. Hindi is $38,330. Prus is $54,710.
weather constraints for the thermoseal as well?
I think that as long as it's warm, it's just sort of like concrete, that it just needs to be dry, right, but thermoseal there?
Right, that's the only way to go in an intersection like that with heavy traffic. The
Yeah.
painting, that'll wear off in no time.
Yeah, the thermoseal lasts quite a while, and it's.
Yeah, that's what the state puts on, like Route 8 and stuff. I mean, it's well worth the cost of it.
Were we gonna try to take down one of the trees too, so you can actually see?
That would be just up to us, and that's not part of the bid.
Yeah.
We wanted to see, we were looking to see how the intersection worked, and then we would look at the tree. At that point, we need to come down or not, so.
The problem with the tree is there's a big dumpster right behind that tree.
Right.
That's gonna, I mean, stick out big time. Unless we can put up some kind of fence or put a
I
smaller
was
tree.
thinking that as you approach that that stop sign, you can at least see if there's, cars coming
Yeah.
around that dumpster.
Well, the problem is there's also a wall there behind those trees.
Well,
The dumpster wall.
when that's over, when you come out of the dollar store, you won't be able to make a left turn to go to Oak Island. Is that correct?
I don't think so, I don't think they, that's what we talked about, but I don't think
Okay, I
that's.
know we talked about it.
I don't think we decided to do that.
Oh, okay, okay.
There was objections to that. So, any direction on?
Well, I'm inclined to go with TMS. I mean,
So we need to make a motion to approve.
Now
TMS's
formally,
bid.
it's fine to do it formally, you don't technically have to, but yeah, I would say the motion would be a good idea.
I think a motion would be nice to make sure that we're either in solidarity or not.
Yeah, I get that.
So Member Walter has made the motion that we accept the bid from TMS for $29,950, correct?
yes, sir.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I second.
And Ms. Neiman's, Member Neiman's accepted the second. Ms. Ledger?
Member Volter?
Aye.
Member Neary?
Aye.
Member Neiman?
Aye.
Member Kelly?
Aye.
Member Lovins? Member Baszler?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and we'll move forward with TMS construction on the Fifth and O'Fallon project. That's great, it's gonna be a great safety project.
Absolutely. And I think it will, for both pedestrians and motorists. So, it's a very highly traveled area because that's where the trail starts in our city on the flood wall. A couple other items, Mayor, before, another my report. Just wanted to let you all know that the Army Corps of Engineers has finished its review of the Manhattan Harbor Road expansion plans. They've, made some final comments, submitted those to the developers, engineers, and they are now addressing those comments. So hopefully, once those are addressed, they'll get final approval, and that will allow construction of that road extension to continue. The good news is when that road is extended, then we think we're gonna get into development at the end of it, and better than that, or maybe not better than that, but equally as important as that, the connector road for Berry Street is supposed to happen within 45 days when that road is finished. So those are two big infrastructure projects that are in the works. Riverfront Commons, we talked about phase 3, the design plans are underway. In phase 2, the design plans have been finalized by KYTC, and the bid specs have been submitted to KYTC for approval. So we're hopeful that approval is coming soon, and that means that will be starting construction in the new construction season as well. Stormwater, Urban Terrace is under design right now for improvements there. Fourth and Kenton is, I think, design is done on that. We're now surveying Dayton Pike. We have some really bad storm issues there. We discovered that we have a head wall in the culvert area there that is in very bad condition, and that's our responsibility. SD1 does not take care of anything that's exterior. They take care of pipes underground, but not head walls like that. So that is being surveyed. All these will be 50-50 grants with SD1. They'll pay half, we'll pay half. The good thing is that ARPA allows us to use that funding for stormwater projects, and that's the money we'll use for that. And the final project is Grant Park, and that is, we're waiting to hear back from the Property Owners Association. We're trying to do an arrangement with them where they pay a portion, we pay a portion, SD1 pays a portion, our portion will come from money we're holding back from that TIF. That's the 4 stormwater projects. And we have one other one that we met with on Monday with SD1, and that's at 2nd Street, right near the Gateway Apartments garage. We've got a major flooding issue there now that we haven't had in the past. Maybe because there was an old playground there and that kind of probably took the water in the old days, and that's gone now and that's been built up. So we're working with SD1, trying to put a plan to deal with that. And I think the developer, Brendan Sullivan's group is also, engineers are also looking at dealing with that issue. It definitely is a problem that needs to be addressed. One of the problems is, it's the road that comes down there.
Walnut.
Yeah, there are a couple basins there, but again, like we've seen so many places, there's been so much asphalt that they got about this much base, so I don't think they're fully accepting all the water they need to accept. So those are 5 stormwater projects, and the great thing is these ARPA funds are letting us address these projects that have been needed to be done for a long time, but we never had the money to do. So, and with SD1, we could do them for half the cost, because we split that with them. That's all I've got.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
Mr. Fox, with the Third and Walnut intersection there, I know you're addressing the flooding issues there, but there was also an issue a couple of months ago with the curb on the southeast side, where the construction trucks coming in and crushed that.
Yeah.
And the developer was going to replace that.
We talked to the developer that he said he would, but that has not been done yet. I didn't notice that the other day when I was down there.
Okay.
And I will talk to him, when they're doing that construction, they're talking about putting a trench drain in at the bottom of the driveway that goes up to the parking garage there. While they're doing that work, that would be a good time for them to do the work over there as well, but I will talk to him about that, because he said.
Because there's a flooding issue right there with the homeowner's house at the base of that.
Yeah, that's what the bad problem is.
That's very bad.
Yes.
So the developer, has he addressed that, or at least admitted to?
Yes, and he's actually told her that she had a shed out back that got damaged, they said they're gonna replace that for her. They recognize there's an issue there, and I've talked, the SD1 says they have to sign off on the final permit, and they're not gonna sign off on it until those issues are addressed by the developer. So, they're on top of it, and we're monitoring it as well.
Good. That's very good.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
When we get closer to the Berry Street connector, will there be another meeting to discuss the design in detail?
There's already a design that's been done.
I mean, on part of the city when it comes to signage, crosswalks, patrol, I mean, I live that way.
Yeah.
The people behind the club all can't even stop at the Family Dollar store's stop sign. I mean,
Sure.
that's where we're investing this money now to fix that.
Right.
And we all sat there. It's a nightmare. So Berry Street connector is, we don't have bus transportation in Dayton for our kids that go to school.
As well, it needs to be a gateway, and so we need more trees and landscaping probably as well, so it would probably be an idea to do all of that at one time would be something we
I
don't
mean,
look at.
because you keep that road open, even if the sidewalk, an accident coming both ways, I mean, you're talking about our Gilman Park right there, I
Right.
mean, that's a lot of kids in one location for us not to have
The
something in
school's right
place,
there.
like, not something we waited a year after Berry Street's
Right.
completed, like,
Definitely
something in
Design
place.
process.
And I agree, there should be definitely probably school crosswalk flashing signs there as well, so that's a good point. We probably ought to look at all those issues as this gets closer to reality.
Because anyone who's dropped their kids off in the morning, and if you haven't, please go down by school and go stand in a line. It's chaotic. I mean, kids are everywhere, and that just cannot be one stop sign people miss without it being something either.
Well, fortunately, that's our local streets, and we have control over that, unlike we do on Sixth Avenue right now, so
Okay.
we can do what.
So that was only my only concern with that Berry Street.
It's a legitimate one, I agree.
Excellent point. Thank you, Ms. London. Any other questions for City Administrator Fawcett regarding his report?
I guess this would fall under yourself and Public Works. Talking about Berry Street, between Fifth and Sixth is the worst, for the repay, that needs to be repaid, whether or not Berry Street ramp is open. And I know we had discussed earlier, you had mentioned that, you and Public Works were discussing which streets to repay, but I presume we're past the repaving season now?
Yeah, we are, and so we are actually Rick's meeting with Mike on Thursday, and we're starting that process to identify the streets that need to be repaved and what the budget for them. Starting the budget process with Jared, so we're gonna use that list we have that Mike did based on conditions. We've also learned that ST1 and the Water District have streets they're gonna be working on, so we might try to coordinate with them, and if they have streets that are in need, make sure we do the ones that they're doing work on, so we can get some money from them to help pay for those roads. So Mike and I are going to meet at the Rick and Lee meet on Thursday and talk about that. We're gonna meet with the City of Bellevue too, because we have a shared road that needs to be done at Fallon. And maybe once we kind of come up with a list, maybe we should either come to City Council and present it, or at least send it to you all, so you can see what we're looking at. We have to see what kind of funds we have in municipal road aid funds, and that's gonna determine how many roads we can do this spring, or this fall, this summer.
No, my concern is that, the 1,000 block of O'Fallon from 10th Street up that steep hill where the new homes are being completed, that is shot.
I know.
That is.
That's the
I don't know
problem.
that can wait until spring.
Well, we don't wanna do it while they're still working. I mean, I think they're close to finishing those houses on.
Yeah, they're pretty much buttoned up, so it'll all be interior work.
But I think, it's really too late, most of the asphalt places are shut down now, so we have to, I mean, some of them may still be open, but it's tough to get it at this time. And now's the time to start doing it. The prices are cheaper if we start doing, bidding on this. in the winter
They
months.
wanna get them out before February.
So we're in the process of doing that. We hope to have something ready to go by the end of the year or early January.
On the Berry Street, it would probably be better to wait till after Berry Street, the ramp is built, because they're gonna tear the street up.
That's a good
even more.
point, Will.
It's already in bad shape, that's from utility cutouts and stuff like that.
That's a good point.
Where we had all those houses torn down right there behind the monument.
Right.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come in and fix
And they're gonna have to change, there's a sewer line there that has to get addressed, and I think
Right.
we're gonna have to probably move utility lines too, because it stretches across there. So there's a lot of things that be done, plus our big trucks will be moving fill there to create that road, so it's a good point, is we probably do wanna wait on that one until that's done. Hopefully it's done next year. We may be able to do it immediately after that.
Well, one good thing about potholes and, they do slow down traffic. They're like a reverse speed bump.
Right.
I like your thinking, Joe.
You do, Rick.
One good thing is he's gonna have to bring asphalt to finish that roadway to end up Boulevard, so we might need some economies of scale. Then we'll have to remobilize, just do the rest of the road that we would pay for, when they did the final asphalt on the hill. So, that's it.
Any other questions for City Administrator Fawcett tonight? All right, closing you out, man.
All right.
Moving right along on the agenda to Mr. Edmondson, who's our city attorney. Do you have a report this evening, sir?
Do not, thank you.
Do not, sir. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Edmondson regarding his article? All right, this is, pardon me. This is the time we open up the podium for anybody's audience comments regarding non-legislation, or maybe next month. Right. State your name, maybe your address.
Why don't you just do it for me, because you know.
I don't know your address, but I know that everybody, please welcome Kathy Gordon.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Kathy Gordon, 314 Ford. Couple things, Jay, thank you I called Jay and I appreciated him taking the call to have a conversation. One of the things that as you know, I'm interested in seeing is an opportunity to create, if not a different, a more enhanced community relationship with predominantly the police department. And in part because of the fact that I think that when I looked at our website, in my opinion, woefully inadequate. I had a rare occasion to have a police officer come to my home And I've never seen the gentleman before, and found out he's been with the department for 5 years. I think it's good that I don't know them on a professional level, and at the same time, wouldn't have recognized him anywhere for any reason whatsoever. So, as a member of the community that fortunately doesn't have need of your department very often, it doesn't mean I don't want to know who they are. So, for recognition purposes, and to be very honest, I want them to know who I am, because if I ever need you, I want to make damn sure that you show up. So I think that the website could certainly be enhanced, and I mentioned that one of the city's websites that I thought was particularly good compared to most was Highland Heights in terms of the police segment of their website, and some of the things that they offered to the community I thought would be appropriate or potentially valuable for us to take advantage of and utilize their format, basically. Things like if you're going to be on vacation, letting the police department know when you're going to be gone, and that would provide an opportunity for the police to drive by perhaps more frequently than they do normally, and just see if there's anything amiss with that property. Granted, I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and that was a standard procedure for every police department that in any jurisdiction in which I lived. It gave my parents great peace of mind, even though the neighbors were watchful, but it just gave them peace of mind knowing that the police literally got out of the car and walked around the property to be sure all of the windows were intact, that no damage had occurred, at least from a visual standpoint. Secondarily, I think the other thing too is that they also offered an opportunity for community members to provide, in case of emergency, contact information to the police department. I worry a lot about, mainly because I am one, about seniors who may live alone and may or may not have any family that keeps in touch with or are local. And I think it would be helpful to the police department and possibly even the neighbors to have some idea, not that the neighbors would have access to that information provided to the police department, but would that not be helpful to have some idea of who an emergency contact would be? Because if what I heard was true about a gentleman who had been dead in his apartment for several days, not saying that that could be prevented, but at least then you would have a means by which to contact a family member or a responsible party. And those things can be put on the website. In theory, I presume it would be secured enough to not provide data or information to someone who really shouldn't be entitled to it. But involving, I think the kids in Dayton, I think, get a great deal of attention, and they should. But I don't want to forget that we also have a large number of seniors who should be equally as cared for and respected and provided for in terms of information and opportunities to interact. And I think one of my main concerns is that, as far as I know, the police department does a great job. Fortunately, I have no reason to think otherwise. But I do believe that part of what we should have is what I call the best of Mayberry. We should have the opportunity to know our police officers, and the police officers should know those of us who are not interfering with daily operations of the city or being a danger to the community or whatever. And I don't know them. I don't know who does. So having their profiles, if you want to call it that, on a website, so we at least know what they look like, who they are, have a rough, and it's good for the community to know who serves us.
So the only thing you're wanting is basically, besides seeing our officers, is just an updated profile on the city page. I mean, like, I'm just asking, like, what suggestion would you like?
Update the website so the community can provide information about their own needs or interests, or commending an officer for a job well done. Have an opportunity to interact with the police department, because if I put in there that I'm going on vacation for 4 days or a week, and nobody has seen me for 10 days, and I've been in my house for 3 days dead on the floor, I'd kind of like somebody to know that, or at least make an effort to find out if I'm alive and well. And I think, not that I expect a police officer to take the time to knock on my door, but if I was doing something wrong, they'd be knocking on my door, so.
Yeah, and saying that, I mean, we have 6,000 people in the city, and we are a 10-man department. It's hard to keep tabs on 6,000 people with a 10-man department. It's just, I mean, the numbers are just not there. I mean, we have community events that we do that allow people to come out, you know, of their homes and interact with police. Now, whether they choose to do that or want to do that, that's up to the individual to do that. But I just don't, we have vacation checks. I think we have it online where we had a gentleman just came into the office today, you know, and he filled out the proper paperwork, and we email it out to all the officers, and we have that on file, so we know, you know, if we have emergency contact information, family members, who's checking on the house, what cars are gonna be in the driveway. So we have that information, if somebody wants to do or going out of town, or family members, or we do welfare checks when asked, from family members. But just,
I know it's a
given
small-
with numbers, it's, we can't keep tabs on 6,000 people, whether
We do
who's.
have that option, that if someone's going on vacation, they can come
Yes,
fill it out, so we do
yes.
have that.
We do have that, yeah, we
And
just
I
had
would
it, we
not
just
have
had
known
it
that
today.
had we not just
Yeah.
talked.
We just, a gentleman from Grants Park came down, he's gonna be going on vacation, came down, filled out proper paperwork, and that's all disseminated out to the officers, to check on that area, and that's what we do. We check windows, we check doors, all different shifts during the day to do that. That's an option that the community has, whether they decide that they wanna take that option is totally up to them.
I agree, but not all of us know what services are made available because the website is not particularly conducive.
Now, let me answer that for just 1 second, if you would, please, Ms. Gordon.
Sure.
I have used, and I'll agree with by phone, it was before I was even on city council.
Mhm.
I went out of town for a week or whatever, I called, this is before Hatfield was here. I called and said, hey, I'm gonna go out of town, and just keep an eye on places to find. And they did a good job of that. That was 10 years ago. So I know that, you know, that is optional. That's by phone. What we're doing though is we're building a new website. It's going to be available in the first part of the new year. We just got done with the first preview for administration to look at it. We are including those things where you can do those types of things via email, via web, or whatever. Makes it a little bit easier. Of course, you always have the option for phone. The second thing that you asked that's really easy to do would be to have a baseball card of each police officer that says their name, picture of. So we know who these people are, and I make a comment to you, and I promise you that we will have our officers, and we'll update it when they come and they go.
That's partly why I brought it up, because I know that you're working on that, but I have no way of knowing what you're working on in that process.
No, and that's fine. I mean, it's an internal project that we've been working on.
Good.
And that's an easy ask. The hard ask that you asked was to have a list of everybody and their age or whatever, so we know.
No,
That's a massive database that'd be hard
Do
to.
you know that for sure?
What's that?
Do you know that for sure?
That's what I work in. Yes, I know that for sure.
Good enough. I think that the only thing I'm saying is that, you know, kids have parents who are hopefully responsible and certainly, you know, take care of their needs and reach out when they can.
Yeah.
Seniors notoriously don't do that.
Agreed.
So I guess what I'm saying is
That's
that
where it gets
just-
difficult.
I'm not saying it would be easy. Life's not
Okay.
easy.
All right.
At least my life isn't. But my point being is that I just want us as a community to remember that there's another age group that may or may not have the desire, wherewithal, or even the skill set to reach out if they need help. And asking for help is really something that we have a hard time doing. So I'm just saying that don't forget that segment of our population.
Never do.
That's all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kathy?
Yes.
What do you, okay, so you said there was a noise and I didn't hear you right at the beginning. You said that it was, I can't remember what you said, something like you went on the website and blank was really lacking.
I thought the content was lacking.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the word I used, but I thought that we could certainly improve some aspects of our website.
Okay.
And I felt it was woefully inadequate, I think was the term I used.
Okay, so I just want to write down, so you said a list of services would be good because you didn't even know they did that.
True.
Right? Highland Heights is a good reference.
I thought it was.
Yeah, we looked at it, it's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
you would like to add pictures and profiles of every officer?
Well, I think it's nice to know who works for us, you know? and
And a
with us.
comment section?
Highland Heights had an opportunity to write essentially a commendation for a police officer who was particularly helpful. I thought that was a good and appropriate thing to do.
Okay. And then in some ways start thinking about special awareness of seniors.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, just being cognizant that we do have, I believe, a pretty large population of seniors, and I don't know that everyone, myself included, is fully aware of what may be available to us should the need arise. But more importantly, we really stink at asking for help.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. So the podium is still open for anybody who'd like to address city council or administration or staff. If you'd like to address, this is your time. I'm gonna go ahead and close the podium in 3, 2, and the podium is closed. Do we have any unfinished business for the evening, council?
Just an update, and I guess it has to come from our city engineer about the discussions with KYTC on the Sixth and Berry light issue.
On the Sixth and Berry one.
Light issue.
Getting a light change at Sixth and Berry.
I know Mike did reach out to them after you said something recently, and I can't remember. He got a response, I got an email, I'll send it to you. They're on it, but, I can't remember what it was that he said, but I'm gonna see it.
So KYTC hired.
Yeah, whatever that means. But I think they were waiting for some data, on traffic count or something, so I think, he said, I'll find the email and send it to you.
Okay. And we have no legal authority if they come back and say, we need to keep traffic moving quickly through town, and we say we need to protect our pedestrians and business district. We have no legal clout in that matter.
That's right, it's a state route.
Just
and-
political.
What's that?
You could have political clout if that's part of it.
Well, that's true, but it's a state route, and it was a city road at one time in the 50s or 60s when they started the state highway system. They took over that street, that street, 6th all the way down to 4th, to the flood wall, and that is their baby, and they control everything on that street.
They control or they're responsible?
Well, they're responsible, but they control traffic.
I've never seen a county snowplow and do it.
No, I mean, traffic control, they're responsible for traffic control on the street, they're responsible for paving, because it's just part of the state highway system. But, we have the same thing in Covington, and they have in Newport, US 27, Scott Street, Greenup Street, those are all state roads, and they make the decisions on how fast it goes, and when it gets paved, and all those things, we have no control over that.
Just one, like I said, it's divergent priorities between us and them.
Now, when Berry Street goes in, it's gonna be a nightmare if we don't get it fixed.
Yep.
You're right.
Some of these items are gonna have to,
You're right, we have that traffic flowing from the north to the south, east to west, you're gonna see T-bones at best.
I mean, yes, we say that, but unfortunately, that's our school district. That is,
And we can control north to south, we can't control east to west, that's our problem.
But we can't even control north and south at that intersection because they own the light.
At that intersection, but 10 feet before, we can't.
Understood. I'm just saying that
If you wanna put a stop sign right in the middle of the street, you can do that.
What's the thought?
That will stop the traffic at least. They can't get that much of a good stop or run start.
No, I just wanted to keep it on a front burner and
Oh, no.
confirm with City Attorney Edmondson that he had no authority.
So, City Attorney Edmondson, if the state owns something or is responsible for it, and they are grossly negligent with that ownership or situation and caring for it, what recourse is there then?
If God forbid something happens?
Oh, they're grossly negligent. Let's say, for instance, Route 8 through town has 3-foot potholes, and they've been contacted 20 times to fix it, and they do not. What is our recourse?
So the individual is traveling over it, for example, and it happens a lot. A pothole, for example, someone blows out their axle, and they would have a cause of action, the Board of Claims, against the state. So that's their recourse. You file a petition, and they review it. There's an independent board that reviews the claims, and then they award money in the event of damages if it's the fault of the state.
But what's our recourse as a city if that property runs through our city?
Great question. And the answer is it doesn't work like we can't sue them. They're the higher power. And just like the federal government, the state doesn't have any autonomy over the federal government to do their, so it just keeps on coming down. Now, can we pass something ministerial in the sense of a proclamation or something to try to get some attention? Possibly.
So again, political cloud.
Sure, that's what it is. But the underbody or the lower level of government doesn't have the ability to tell them what to do. It's their property. There is remedy for the person that's been aggrieved by it through the Board of Claims. And that's precisely what it's for.
So on an individual basis. Okay. Appreciate your answer, thank you.
Councilman Neary, I did find that email from Mike Hager to the Highway Department. Mr. Binkley, who's an engineer in the local branch, District 6, said we are to schedule to get traffic counts after after Thanksgiving for the traffic study. This was November 19th. We want new counts with Kentucky 8 being closed now. So they were getting traffic counts after Thanksgiving, so I guess they're in the process of doing that. So, and then also, Councilmember Lovins, we also asked them about the traffic lights and the visual issue, the problem seeing those lights, and they're looking into that too, whether they can be adjusted as well.
But also, to follow up on that point, our local legislators are a great place to start. And working with them, because they have the ability, they control the purse strings. And so by having a meeting with them and educating them on the concerns that you have, frankly, they should be here anyway, at least annually or more, both the state rep and, of course, the state senators that are inquiring and asking about their constituents. What can I do to help? The elected body is pretty darn important within each individual city. We used to do that a lot. We would lobby ours, and we had personal relationships oftentimes with our elected officials. Well, at least one. We didn't have it with both. And we never saw that other gentleman that was elected during a time when we were there. But having those periodic meetings and sitting down and just really working on them, because they have access that we simply just do not have. It's amazing what can get done with the right political clout.
We do have a pretty good open channel with Representative Roberts and Senator Schroeder. They've never turned down our calls, and they both made the repairs that we needed on 4th Avenue and up to 6th Avenue on Route 8 this past year with Secretary Gray. If it wasn't for us meeting with them repeatedly, that wouldn't have happened, I don't think. So Mr. Edmondson is correct when he's saying we're going to keep in front of them. If this is what we want, then we can keep in front of them. They do care about Dayton.
And the other point is that they're getting ready to go into session now. So they're there actively involved in the state government. It's a little different when they're outside the scope of Frankfurt, but they're there now. So we used to do that, didn't we, Jay? We used to lobby them. We'd go down and visit with them and meet with them and say, can you do X, Y, and Z? And if the city were to have their top 10 list of projects that we need state intervention from, I'm happy to be a part of whatever that requires, because that's everything. It's the relationships.
Yep. Did that answer your question about unfinished business? It may not.
No, it really confirms that we don't have legal authority over it, and I appreciate that. My frustration with KYTC is, like you said, it's been 10 years for the sidewalk project. And the fact that it's divergent priorities. I think they have the authority, but their priority is totally against what our priority, which is pedestrian safety. That's the frustrating part for me. And my real question is, if that is their property, why are we plowing it for the past 45 years, 50 years?
We ain't gonna wait for them to get there?
That's the problem.
No, I mean, do we get any recompense from the state for plowing Route 8?
They focus initially on the interstates and everything else comes after that, so.
So, but Mary's got a great question where, I don't know what it costs, and Red, you might know what it costs to plow a parking lot, so you can figure out the square footage on that, square mileage.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Jay, or somebody can get a hold of Newport. City of Newport plows like Monmouth and a few other county roads, and the county reimburses them every year.
The county does or the state does?
Well, maybe the state. And they get, I don't know what they get, but, the last thing you want is, a semi carrying 22 tons of salt with a 10-foot blade coming down Route 8 through Dayton. I mean, and they'll probably put, no parking during snow emergencies, because I mean, they'd have to, because those plows move a lot of snow.
Right.
But you could check with Newport, they could probably let you know, and we could probably get X amount of dollars per year, whatever, based on how many times we plow it. I mean, it's not gonna be much, but it'd be something.
Maybe it helps pay for our sidewalks.
I mean, yeah, Doug Roll would probably be the person to contact in, Newport.
They basically have 2 miles of street in our city.
Right.
A mile of plug wall, a mile patch, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Which we keep clean as a pin. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, but, I mean, last year I went out and plowed Route 8 for them 2 times from Dayton out to the underpass and back. Because they couldn't get a truck out there and people couldn't get in or out of Dayton. And so.
Good point you bring up, Mr. Gary.
We're doing that a favor. We've been doing, I think it was the mid-70s is when it turned to a state route when they redid all the
Well,
sidewalks.
the 70s, okay.
But we've been, a lot of tons of salt and a lot of man hours taking care of that.
Oh, yeah. We're not the only city that does that.
No.
Right, I mean, Bellevue does the same thing, they plow theirs. I mean, you just can't bring one of them trucks down with a 10-foot blade on it.
You can't sit around and wait for them either.
That's right.
And we're way
So
down.
they're only gonna hit it maybe once every 6 to 8 hours tops.
Right, you're on it. As soon as first gonna play fall. Do you have any other questions regarding unfinished business? Closing that out. 3, 2, council, 1. That's closing new business. Closing that out, do we have any executive session necessary tonight, Ms. Ledger?
No.
No.
On behalf of the city, I'd like to wish everybody Merry Christmas, hope you had a happy Hanukkah, which you did last night. Happy holidays, and see you all next year.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Baser, second.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.